Good morning. Yesterday we looked at Psalm chapter 1 verse 3 and we spoke about being planted next to rivers of water where God is the one that makes us great. But we are not great by our own works because we are meditating on the fact that Jesus was raised from the dead. And since he was raised from the dead, the life of God has now come into this earth and we are living by the power of God, the ability of God, the faithfulness of God, not our own works, but the works of God, where he brings forth fruit in our lives. We then saw that this fruit that is brought forth in our lives is called the fruit of the Spirit, which is the Spirit of God, or we can say the life of God, or the life of the resurrected Christ that brings forth joy and peace and long-suffering and gentleness and goodness and faith, meekness, temperance, things against which there is no law, that it is being brought forth in our lives by the power of the Creator, by the power of God bringing it forth in our lives. Now, when we read in Psalm 1 verse 4, it says that the ungodly are not so. The ungodly is like chaff in the wind that is just driven away. What it means is that the ungodly does not have an eternal fruit of life in this earth. What the psalm writer is saying here is that the life of those that are planted next to the river of God, or that is planted in the resurrection of Jesus, where God takes heaven, brings it to earth and brings it into your life, that the ungodly is not like that. They don't have that privilege. They don't have that life. And what he talks about here when he refers to the ungodly is when we go back to Psalm 1, where it says that blessed are those people advance who are not standing in the counsel of the ungodly. And I then concluded and explained that the ungodly are those who are giving advice to say, you don't need God. When it comes to God and the working of Jesus in the earth, it's just going to amount to nothing. You need to do it by yourself. You can be good and have life and things can work for you without God, without the mercy of God, without the kindness of God, by your own power. Basically say that it is self-help systems. Now, the ungodly, those who say, well, I'm going to live by my self-help system. I'm going to find my identity in the things of this world. I'm going to find my identity by my own power and my own achievements. It says they are not the true fruit bearers. They are like chaff, which is in the wind driven away. Now, when it comes to chaff that is in the wind and driven away, the psalm writer is simply saying that they don't have eternal existence in the earth. Their way is not going to be forever. When we think of chaff being driven away in the wind, another way of saying it is what John the Baptist said when Jesus came. He said that Jesus is ready to clean his threshing floor, and what he's about to do is to burn up the chaff. So we're saying, and what it basically amounts to is that the systems that are not forever is going to come to an end when Jesus arrives. And we find the system that is not forever, which was the ancient Jewish system, where you are a child of God by circumcision and the customs of the law of Moses, that came to an end. It burned up in the appearing of Jesus. So it is not Jesus saying, I'm going to cook people in hellfire forever. It simply talks about something that can pass away, that is not forever. So here it says that the ungodly's way will pass away. It's not forever. But what is forever is the fruit of God that comes to our lives as we believe in him. So what it says is in verse 5, Psalm 1 verse 5, is that the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. What it means is, and talk about judgment, the ungodly will not receive the judgment of God. When we look at Isaiah 1 verse 7, it defines what judgment is. It says in Isaiah 1:17, I want to read it to you. It says, learn to do well, seek judgment, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plea for the widow. So here we can see that judgment is to relieve the oppressed. So what it's saying is if we stand in the solitude of ourselves, if we want to do it by our own works and not rely upon the mercy and the kindness of God, where God does it by His faithfulness, we will be at a place where we find that we are not relieved from our oppression. But those who simply rely upon the goodness of God, focus on the resurrection of Jesus, see what it amounts to for themselves, meditate upon that, they will be relieved from their oppression. They will have life that's born from God. Amen.